right, the doors on the right are sliding shut. That means we're going to be on our way. So as we say in Harambe, 20. 20 means let's go, everybody wave goodbye to the nice people. We are out of there. Now Jumbo is the Swahili word for hello. So Jumbo out there, my friends. My name's Janet. I'm going to be your safari driver, your animal spotter, and I will also be your guide through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve on our adventure. Now we do have some rules here aboard my truck. Really easy stuff that's going to help us all stay safe on our adventure. Starting with the most obvious, everybody must remain fully and completely seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. Now, as for your personal items, please do not drop anything, but should something fall on accident, mistakes do happen, just let me know. We'll radio the warden, and the warden will go and retrieve that item for us. We're not going to get out of the truck. There's wild animals out there, after all. And speaking of the wild animals here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, they do not respond to whistles, hoots, hollers, kissy noises. They're not like our pets back at home. We do like to have the same amount of respect for the creatures of the reserve as they do for us, because this is, a lot of them, their home. So we'll head on into the reserve as soon as we get some clearance from the warden. We just want that truck ahead of us to get a little deeper into the reserve. So while we're waiting, I have a question. Is this anybody's very first safari? Anybody's very first time? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, a bunch of you. Hello, good morning. It's really good to have you. I can't wait to take you on your very first tour of my favorite place in the whole entire world. And to those of you who are coming back for your second, third, or 30th time, Cariboonie again, welcome back. We were wondering when you were going to come and visit us again. I'm happy to take you on the best tour of the reserve you've ever been on. So we'll head on into the Little Ituri Forest. The very first area of our reserve is a very densely wooded area. There's a lot to see if you know how to look, so really keep your eyes peeled. In forests like this one, animals like the okapi on your right, far up the road. That's probably the best view we're going to get of the okapi, just because this tree here is knocked over, making that clearing over there a bit difficult to see. They have zebra pants on, for lack of a better term. They are back in white stripes on their legs. Make them look like they're related to the zebra, but they're not. They're related to the giraffe. Here on the right-hand side, our greater kudu are the first species you're seeing. They do not have horns, because the greater kudu females do not have horns. These are all females here. Whereas the male greater kudu's horns are about 6 feet long. Now these bongo, on the other hand, the reddish-brown animals, they have horns whether they're male or female. Take a look, there's going to be one here on the right-hand side. Her horns, you'll notice they tilt backwards. Her horns stand up straight in the air. That means that while that bongo moves through the brush, she's quick and she's quiet. That's why we call them the ghost of the forest. Pretty cool nickname. We're going to head away from the bongo now. We'll go around this watering hole next. And now, it's a little difficult to tell what it is, but on your left-hand side, laying down next to that pile of dirt, it's a black rhino. It looks like a boulder, but there's less than 5,000 black rhino in the entire world, so if that's all that we get to see, we're still pretty lucky. And the reason there's only 5,000 left is unfortunately poaching. They're poached for their horns. I have no idea why, but people got it into their head that rhino horns are medicine. They're not. The horns are made of keratin. It is the exact same protein that makes up your fingernails and hair. So if you really, really, really want to eat keratin, just chew on your nails. Or don't. I'm not your mom. Now, those keratin horns, they're not impressive when they're off the rhino. And unfortunately, that is causing rhino populations to dwindle. But that is why reserves like this one exist. We're here just to promote and protect the wildlife. So those rhinos, they'll be fine here as long as they're on the reserve with us. But it's probably time for us to head just around the river bend next. We're going to go to the Sapphire River, see if we can find a hippo. Do you want to see a hippo? Yeah, okay, cool. I like hippos. Not many people know this. Hippos are nocturnal. They sleep almost all day. Generally, they only exit the river in the evening. That's because it's time to eat. They do eat at night, and they will eat 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation in one single evening. That's a lot of food. There is a hippo just up ahead on your right-hand side. It is completely submerged underwater, making it a little difficult to see. They can stay like that for more than 8 minutes at a time, and they don't even need to wake up to come up for air. Take a look on your left. A little easier to see over there, don't you think? A whole bloat of hippos behind the island. Please make sure everybody is seated on their bottoms for me, my friends. There's a lot of birds here on the left as well. One species in particular is the pink-backed pelican. I am going to stop again here. Look very carefully. There is one pink-backed pelican on her nest standing up. There is a baby pelican underneath her. It is mating season. That is why they are a dusty pinkish color. Pink-backed pelican only turn pink around mating season. But you know what? We've seen a lot of cool stuff, and I want to see how much more cool stuff we can see. So let's head over the river and through the woods into the grasslands we will go. And in the grasslands, sometimes we're lucky enough to be able to, on the left, Nile crocodile. The largest species of crocodile in Africa. So make sure everybody's seated for me because you don't want to fall overboard here. They have a bone-crushing jaw of 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch when they bite down. Have a seat for me, pal. The Nile crocodile can also run about 10 to 12 miles an hour. It's pretty quick. In fact, 10 to 12 miles an hour is faster than my truck can go. So, yeah, we're gonna get out of there. I'm flooring it. So, this is as fast as we are capable of moving. Don't get me wrong, you seem like the kind of people I'd like to have lunch with. You're just not the kind of people I'd like to be lunch with. So we're going to head on over towards those Serengeti grasslands. Like I said, it is the largest area of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Also, in my opinion, the most iconic. It's a good place to find some of the more famous species. But first, on your right-hand side, what it's called a baobab tree. Sometimes they're called upside-down trees. They are not upside down. They just kind of look like they are. Those baobab trees, the reason they look like they're upside down is 9 months of the year they are completely leafless. And don't worry if you didn't get a good look, there's lots more of them on the reserve. So, my friends, let me be the first to say, Karabuni, welcome to the Serengeti grasslands. These grasslands, they do spread for hundreds of miles here across eastern Africa. They're kind of like a super highway for different species and their migratory patterns, and it is gorgeous out here. There's a lot to see. I see Ankoli cattle out in the distance, but unfortunately, my friends, we have to stop. I don't want to get too close to that truck in front of us. We're stuck in a giraffe jam. Now, the reason for the giraffe jam is an actual giraffe. I heard it on the radio. Many, many trucks ahead of us, so far ahead that we can't even see it yet. A giraffe got in the road, and it decided that it wanted to stand in the road. But that's okay. We will press on. Bit of a drizzle outside. That's alright, the animals don't mind. Yeah, the giraffe are so far out in the distance that they're not even really worth pointing out. They're way up on your right. Don't worry about them right now. We will get closer. I want to go see these Ankoli cattle first. The Ankoli cattle have some very impressive horns. I mean, like 6 feet long impressive. They're huge. But they don't weigh very much. Their horns are filled with holes. The inside of their horn looks like a honeycomb. Some people prefer to call them Watusi cattle. That's the name of the tribe that domesticated them. They're the only domesticated species on the reserve. Now, obviously, these particular Ankoli cattle are not living with a tribe and therefore not domesticated. They are wild Ankoli cattle, but if they were living with a tribe, for example, the Maasai tribe, at night, they would be herded into what's called a boma. It's a fence made of thorny bushes. It's going to help keep the predators away, and it's going to help keep all of the Ankoli cattle in the same place. Because the Maasai tribe keeps Ankoli cattle as a sign of wealth. But you can't really keep an Ankoli cattle in a bank. So the boma will do. Get a bit of a better look at them. You will be able to tell they are just basically cows. They all have horns, whether they're male or female, and those horns are really impressive. They even moo, the Ankoli cattle. One of the vocalizations that I hear most frequently here on the reserve is the mooing. But I find it unlikely that they'll do much mooing right now. It looks like it might be nap time.
No. You see them?
here on our left, but I do not see who lives in it. I just see some sable antelope up ahead as well, so we'll get a bit of a better look at those. Oh, never mind. I figured it out. Spotted hyena. Off on the left. I can't find a good spot to stop so the whole truck can see, so I'm just going to roll by really slowly. Now those spotted hyena, the larger one is the female. All of the female hyena in the clan outrank every male. Yeah, exactly. Girl power, you're not kidding. These on the left, those are the sable antelope I mentioned. The darker their coat, the more authority they have within their herd. The male, the alpha male, will turn a jet black. As a matter of fact, the darker brown one, she's probably the alpha female. They are the only species of antelope that I have ever heard of that will actually stand and fight if they're presented with a predator. In fact, if a lion were foolish enough to jump on a sable antelope's back, they would throw their head backwards and use those horns as a way to say, get out of here, to that lion. It's a good spot to see those big holy cattle. Check out that herd. They're just big cows. I love them very much. Termite mounds, actually. Oh, that's fine. I mean, they're gross. Termite mounds are made of spit, dung, and dirt, so in the hot sun, they get to be about as hard as concrete. Elephants and giraffes use them as scratching tools. They'll scratch their back against them in order to scratch an itch they can't reach. Termite mounds like that can grow to be 30 feet tall. Wildebeest. Way out in the distance, the white bearded wildebeest. Named, of course, for their white beards, but wildebeest is Afrikaans. Means wild beast. I prefer to call them gnu. The name gnu is spelled G-N-U, comes from the grunting sound they make. Quite a few of them out there. They're a bit difficult to see. A lot of them are hiding in the taller grasses. But that's not even a large herd of wildebeest. In fact, wildebeest have the largest herd in the world. Over 1.5 million wildebeest will herd together and move across the grasslands in search of food. It is the largest herd, again, in the world. And a lot of times it's not just wildebeest. Other animals, other hoofstock animals, like different species of antelope and gazelle, will join the herd and move across the savannah with them. Safety in numbers, you know? Safety in numbers is a really big thing at night here on the reserve. These smaller animals during the day, they'll break apart and stand by themselves, but at night, they kind of form one super herd. They've even learned each other's distress calls, so if one species sees a predator, it'll make its distress call to warn its herd, but the other animals know what that sounds like, so they can get up and go as well. It's very intelligent. There's those giraffe. They're way off in the distance. A few little springbok up on this hill on the right-hand side as well. They're only 3 feet tall. That's as big as they'll ever get, but they get the name springbok from their ability to spring 6 feet in the air when they get excited. We're headed up towards the giraffe. We're going to stop. See if we can get a better look. As soon as the truck ahead of us moves a bit farther forward, we'll pull up and stop for those giraffe. They're Maasai giraffe, by the way. They've got that kind of lacy pattern around their edge of their spots. It's not really neat. They're also the darkest of all subspecies of giraffe. Very cool. We're gonna stop a little bit farther up here, just because you can really get a sense of how tall they are when you can see their legs. 20 feet in height they can grow to be. That's why we call a group of giraffe a tower. They spend roughly 20 hours a day eating and 30 minutes a day sleeping. And I just love giraffe. I mean, how can you not? They've got such great big hearts. I do mean that literally. An adult giraffe's heart is 2 feet tall, weighs about 25 pounds. They're huge. And they are beautiful animals. Still got more to see though. So we're heading towards elephant country. The goal here is, of course, to find elephants. I want to see if we can find a whole herd of them though. See, there's no adult males in a herd of elephants. It's all females and then the juvenile elephants. Travel in a very tight-knit group. led by an alpha female. She's the matriarch. Typically, she is the oldest elephant in the herd. Not always, but usually. And hey, look! Monkeys up on the rock on the left. There's a baby and mama. Oh, two babies. One just stood up. Male mandrills weigh about 100 pounds, but the females like her only weigh 30 to 35. Very big difference in size there. The biggest species of monkey in the world. They are monkeys. You can see that little baby's tail right there. Monkeys have tails. Apes, on the other hand, like gorillas, do not. And they are what's called terrestrial. Very fancy way of saying most of their life is spent on the ground. There's an elephant on the right. Hold on, let's get a better look. Just trust me. Because we're going to get a much better look right over here. There you go. I told you. That's a male there. Like I said, the males travel alone. He's flapping those ears trying to stay cool. That's not only going to fan off his body, but it's also going to cool down the blood in his ears. When the blood then circulates through the rest of him, his body temperature could drop about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. But we're still headed towards elephant country. We haven't even gotten into the thick of it yet. So we'll go over this bridge here into the red clay pits, and then around towards a watering hole where, if we're lucky, we just may be able to find an elephant or two. Still looking to find that whole herd. Fingers crossed and all that. Ah! Woo! Hang on tight! Get us out of here. Okay. Sorry. I mean, I'd love a little adventure, but I don't think the warden would like it very much if I lost somebody again. So when we drop you folks off down the road here, if you see one of my wardens standing around, just say, yes, we had a very good, safe time. And look, oh wait, look! There's tusk marks on both sides in the clay. Elephants eat this stuff for vitamins and minerals, and we're going to get a really great look at some elephants just up ahead. You'll notice something. All African elephants have tusks. They are ivory, those tusks. Fortunately, though, that is the main reason elephants face poaching as a threat. It is something you can help prevent. You just never buy ivory. The demand for it should decrease, and then elephant populations would then increase. And it is really important to me that we keep elephant populations thriving because they're one of my favorite animals in the world. And I have great news. There's a baby elephant over there on the left, way over by the baobab tree. You just barely see its little rump. It's kind of difficult to see from here. This may be the best view we get of that little one. It is standing on a rock currently. Pretty sure that baby elephant thinks it's a monkey. Likes to climb. Also a really nice view of this full-grown female here on the left. And you may, here on your right, get a better look at those springbok that we saw before. That's pretty cool. We still got more to see though. Starting with these pink birds here on the left. What are they called? Flamingos! Yeah, there are some down there who look like they are old and gray. They're not, they're babies. Baby flamingo are gray. They don't turn pink until they're a year, sometimes about a year and a half old. That color comes from beta carotene in the shrimp that they eat. They are filter feeders, meaning that they have to stick their head upside down to eat. And a group of them is called a flamboyance of flamingo because of that beautiful pink color. Those greater flamingo, though, you may have noticed, they were a really light shade of pink. That is because they are so large. Ooh, big mud pit over on the left. It's called a mud wallow. Now, whatever was rolling in it, my bet is on rhinos. Rhinos like to roll in the mud in order to make a protective barrier against the sun. Even though it's not too sunny today, Probably were rolling around in that mud to cool off a bit. It's still pretty hot outside. We'll see if we can find some rhinos if we are extra lucky. But we've been having some really great luck so far. Just hoping that it holds out, you know? Hard to see. So, see all these roots here from the trees that have fallen? If you use them as an arrow pointing directly back in the clearing, there's cheetah up there. 2 of them. They're really hard to see though because they are laying down pretty flat. Their camouflage is extraordinary. Those spots make them almost invisible when they lay down like that. Not a good spot for a photo, but I mean, they're the fastest land mammal on Earth, so they're pretty worth noting that we get to see them. Solitary daytime hunters, the cheetah, but there were 2 of them up there. A group of them like that is called a coalition of cheetah. That's a lion. Lion on your left. Yeah, he'll do that for about 20 hours a day, they say. Up on the edge of the rocks by the little bush. Handsome fella, too. He's that male. He's got that beautiful mane. That's going to darken it with age. It's already pretty dark, though, underneath. Ooh, there's a female up there with him. Now, they do sleep about 20 hours a day. At night, they are most active, and that makes sense. At night, their sight is 6 times better than ours. Ooh, on the right, zebra. We'll get a better look at those zebra and those ostrich as well in just a moment. Ostrich are the largest birds on Earth at 6 feet tall and 150 pounds. So no, unfortunately, they cannot fly. They do run about 40 to 45 miles an hour, though. Warthogs. Oh my gosh, warthog piglets. They're going to be on our left-hand side. Now, unfortunately, because these piglets are so very new to the reserve, not allowed to come to a full stop. But I will roll by very slowly so everybody can get a good look. Oh, they are precious. They got like little mustaches. They are going to grow up to be the largest burrowing species of animal in the entire world. Not only will they build their burrows themselves, they'll also take burrows from other species of animal. Now these coming up on our right, those are the plant zebra, and a group of zebra is called a dazzle. It makes sense. When a herd of zebra runs together, it's hard for a predator to discern what zebra, like where one ends and where the other one begins. So they do dazzle their predators with those stripes. Yeah, you saw the ostrich eggs too. Ostriches are communal nesters. They do only lay 1 egg at a time, but they will honestly put all of their eggs into one big nest. But the alpha female, her eggs get the prime spot right in the middle. It takes about 72 days for an ostrich egg to hatch.
Tower of giraffe.
Now this is Magadi Glen. There's a very distinct species coming up ahead on our left called a scimitar horned oryx. There is one on the right as well. They have been relocated to the reserve from the deserts of northeastern Africa, where they have officially gone extinct. They no longer live in the wild. Only on reserves like this one because of poaching and habitat destruction. It's a shame too, they're so cool. Yeah. If they needed to, they could go 9 months without a sip of water. The birds on the right, those are yellow-billed stork. They're carnivores, they only eat meat. They'll eat anything small enough to swallow. That means they'll even eat other birds. We'll get one last look at that scimitar horned oryx up on the hill, but unfortunately, my friends, this is about where our adventure starts coming to an end. But don't worry, your time with these animals doesn't have to. In fact, there's lots more to be seen down the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, and I do have a little bit of a favor to ask of you. All it is one day when you're home, far from the village of Harambe, if you ever have some free time that you just don't really know how to spend, use it to fall in love with these animals. Now that can mean whatever you want it to, whether you are reading about them, watching a video, or just showing your friends the photos you've taken. Right now, these animals' biggest threat is us. It's people. People cause poaching. People cause habitat destruction. So if people like you and I, if we can learn to love these animals, it stands to reason they should be okay. That's it. That's the favor. Fall in love. I mean, it's not like hard. Look at me. I love them so much. I moved here to Africa just so I could get the chance to work with them, and I've got no plans of leaving Africa anytime soon. I shouldn't say goodbye though, even though our stop is up ahead. I don't like the word goodbye. Goodbyes are sad and they are final. Goodbye makes it seem like you're never going to come back and visit us again. I hope you do come back one day. No two safaris are ever the same after all. The wild animals make sure of it, and if they don't, the wild drivers do. So instead of goodbye, I would much rather say kwaherini. Kwaherini means to go well. So go well, my friends, into your next adventure. And asante sana as well. Thank you so much for coming with me on this one. I hope you enjoyed yourself as much as I did. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Janet, and you have been riding aboard on the Simba 1. It's S-I-M-B-A and the number 1, my friends. Okay.